Hello, my most amazing artists. I'm so sorry I can't be here today with you. I am very sad, but I have a doctor's appointment, which is not as fun as being here at school in art class. So I really hope everything goes well today with your substitute. You follow directions. I come back to a great report because next week, super important you're here. We're doing some amazing stuff and you got to be ready for it. So today, you're getting some practice. All right, artists, have fun today.
All right, artists, so today you are going to get to play with Play-Doh because we are getting ready to use real clay next week. Now, real clay is a lot different than Play-Doh. A lot of you have probably used Play-Doh before. So make sure you keep your Play-Doh on your table, just like we're getting ready to use real clay next week. You don't want to make too much of a mess because Play-Doh can be messy, but real clay looks like this and is even more messy. So today you're practicing with Play-Doh. Next week we'll use real clay. This kind of clay comes from the earth. It's called earthenware clay. That means it comes from underground. So it's very lucky that we're able to have this kind of clay because it gets fired in a clay oven that I have called the KILN. That clay oven is in one of my closets and I'll show it to you next week. So we're super lucky that we can use this real clay to make something we can keep forever after our art show. We can also paint it. So today that's why you don't get to choose what color Play-Doh you have because we're not going to be able to choose the color of earthenware clay that we use. So today don't worry about the color that you get. Everybody's going to have one color and we're going to practice making what we're going to do next week. So today when you get your clay, you're going to separate it into two pieces. You want to have one that's a little bit smaller. We're going to save that for later for something that we're going to do. All right, I'm going to gather up all the little pieces. And then with this big piece of clay, I'm going to roll a ball, or the fancy art word for it is called a sphere. What's it called, everybody? Very good. Awesome. So it's a clay ball, or a sphere is that 3D shape that we're going to make. After you make a sphere, we are going to put it on the table and flatten it. When you flatten it, and you might want to pound it out like a pancake, it might be a little noisy in here. When you pound it out like a pancake, it becomes something called a slab. A clay slab is flat like a pancake, but not any thinner than a cookie. If it's super duper thin, it will break but today you want to shape kind of a circle. Now next week you'll have a lot more options for what the shape can be. If you want to go ahead and make this into a shape, you can. You can make it into a flower, you could make it into a star, you could make it into a heart. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll make mine into a little heart here. I'll press in the middle, play around with my Play-Doh. Now every time I want a smooth side, I can just flip it over and have a nice smooth side there. Now the good part about clay and Play-Doh is that if you make a mistake, you can always start over. That's why we're practicing today. After I practice making my bottom for it, whatever shape I'm going to do, I'm going to have a heart as mine. I can always use my stick. I could also carve it out of the slab if I wanted to, but I think it's good how it is. I'm going to keep my heart like that, and then with my other piece of clay, I'm going to roll what is called a coil. Now you might know this as a clay snake or even a worm. I guarantee most of you have done that. Raise your hand if you've made a clay snake or a worm before. Awesome. I'm sure a lot of you have. So I'm going to go ahead and roll out that clay snake, but the fancy art word is called a coil. What's it called, everybody? Good job. All right, so I'm going to roll my coil pretty long and thin. The reason is because I am making the first letter of my first name. So if your name starts with an A, you're going to try to make an A with your coil. If your name starts with a K, you're going to try to make a K. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'll make a Q for my name, for Miss Q. Once your coil's long enough, you can bend it to make that letter. So I'm going to make a Q. Now, if you have different parts in your letter, you're going to want to pinch the coil off so you have more. When you go to attach to make that letter, you can just smooth it out, smooth it on there, and then use your other part to pinch what you need for your letter and what you don't need. I'm going to have fun using my cap to make some texture because that's something I forgot to tell you that you could do. So before you stick on your letter, if you want to have fun making some texture with your texture tools like your lid or even your stick, you could poke in, you make polka dots, you could draw into it, you could make lines, designs, all different kinds of things, stripes, you can make zigzags, you could use the pointy part to carve in. It's up to you what you do. And then put your letter right on there and stick it down. Now, awesome. We're going to be ready for next week to make it with our real clay. But for now, we can't keep our Play-Doh, so we got to say goodbye to it. It's okay, because next week we'll start making something that we can keep forever and ever, which will be so awesome. Now, when you're done with your Play-Doh, make sure you go like this with your big piece. You can stick up all the little tiny pieces. Super important you get all those tiny pieces so we keep the classroom nice and clean today. All right, when you're all finished, you can put it in your Ziploc bag with your lid and your stick. Don't forget those tools. It's important for the next class that comes in. Now, if you want to keep playing with your Play-Doh after you practice making your slab and your coil, you can keep playing with it and you can just make whatever you want. You can have fun playing with it for the rest of class. Or if you've had enough practice and it's the last 15 minutes of class and your teacher tells you, then you can put your clay away along with that bag, zip it up, put it in the bin in the middle of your table, and then you can go to centers. When you're at centers, remember, always leave it better than you found it. Don't take out anything if you're didn't clean up your last center. All right, artists, have fun today. I will see you next week for real clay. I'm super excited to show you how that will work. All right, bye.